Happening now outside Birchmont Community Center, the union representing city workers is holding a news conference after staff at 2 indoor pools refused to work today because of the extreme heat. Let's listen in live.
Community Center, where there is an indoor pool operation. The workers have refused unsafe work given the conditions on the pool deck, and so the pool has been closed until the appropriate measures are taken to ensure their safety. Over the past 2 weeks, a number of pools have had to shut down due to mechanical issues, staffing issues, and other concerns that have compromised the health and safety of our workers. We are glad to know that the mayor has devoted and council has approved quite a significant amount of money to state of good repair of these buildings. The state of good repair is only as useful as when it is done preemptively. It's important that these services continue to operate in a predictable way for members of the public so that they can rely on these services, especially when there's a heat wave accordingly.
So what actually happened here? What is the issue? What precipitated all of this?
So the city has created and come up with their own policies and practices when it comes to heat stress policy. When the temperature on the deck goes above 45, they have to be supervised by a medic, or the rotation of the staff needs to be done adequately. And those things were not in place, in addition to something that's called the Dectron, which is operated by facilities, is something that ensures that the temperature on the pool deck is appropriate, and that is a mechanical issue that they're working on repairing, which is really causing the excessive heat on the pool deck.
So are there windows there that's causing the sunlight to come in to heat up the space quicker than it typically would, or?
I think it's a combination of the structure, but also given the extreme heat outdoors, all of that exasperates the conditions inside as well.
And so much, I guess, as we saw previously with the outdoor pools, people were making the argument, why can't these staff members just jump in the pool to cool off? For members of the Aquatics team, why isn't that?
If you jump in the pool and you're breathing really dense, hot, humid air, it will do nothing to alleviate what comes with heat stress issues, right? And so this idea that folks can jump in the pool and all of a sudden they're breathing new oxygen is just not a thing. Heat stress is something that doesn't just impact aquatic staff, it impacts anyone who works outdoors. And as climate changes and the temperatures start to rise, we need to account for these and how they impact indoor spaces as well.
So I'm guessing staff didn't just stop work, they probably had requests or demands first in order to keep going. Can you talk about what was asked for and what did or didn't happen in response?
Well, first and foremost, the Dectron needs to be working. If the Dectron is not working, there's going to be heat that's going to accumulate on the pool deck, making it very difficult for workers to be able to work without getting sick. When the temperature is above 45 degrees, there needs to be a medic on site. So I believe they're trying to fix the Dectron, which would be one of the demands that would be met. And the other is that if you are working over 45, a medic should be on site.
When did the Dectron break or stop functioning?
It's a good question. I think there's been issues with the Dectron for some time. I think one of our concerns is that when these issues are brought forward, there needs to be expedited effort to try to fix these so that people who are coming to access the pool are not turned away last minute. And it's not unreasonable to shut up a space down and say we need to do repairs. It's much more helpful when those are done in advance so the public has notice that the pools are going to be shutting down so they can make alternate arrangements.
So we do know that there is no heat stress legislation in Ontario. Can you speak to that and just talk about the importance of this, knowing that what's happening right here at Birchmont?
Yeah, I mean, I'm standing here doing an interview, I'm not exerting myself, and the heat feels quite oppressive. And, Laura Walton, president of the Ontario Federation of Labour, spoke about this not long ago, the need for legislation to protect all workers, especially those who are working outdoors in extreme heat consistently, trades workers, construction workers, lifeguards, people who work in forestry and are doing the gardening all around the city, people who are working on the island. I think this is long overdue. We need to have something in place that protects workers. You know, heat kills people, and we know that it is one of the leading causes of death in the summertime for workers.
There are a couple signs that say the pool might reopen at 5:45 or possibly 8 o'clock tonight. Do you know where these numbers are coming from? And then I guess if the Dectron cannot be fixed to satisfaction tonight, with the presence of a medic and the ability to swap out, you said that shift could switch out more quickly. I mean, would that get are people showing up, you know, people
Sure.
that are being turned away? So I'm just wondering, like, is there a interim solution if this cannot be fixed?
The city's own policies are clear. When you're reaching 45 degrees, whether it's indoors or outdoors, you need a medic on site. So I suppose if they had enough staffing and a medic on site, sure, I'm sure it can operate.
Obviously, this is not the first heat wave we've seen. So is this just an issue that's now begun in the last, I guess, 24 hours, 48 hours, and wasn't prevalent the last time we had a heat warning in the city?
Let's be clear. A lot of the buildings that are having these issues have had these issues for years, and I'm talking at least 3, 4, 5 years. And you know, the money wasn't allocated for them to go through the state of good repair until last year, and it takes time to get those repairs done. But I do think that certain spaces should be done expeditiously so that it has the least amount of impact on the services that the public rely on.
I mean, have you heard from the city? Has the city made any comments or said anything?
The city is committed to working with us to try to resolve these issues and ensure that they're not happening moving forward. So we're pleased with the responses that we've been getting, and we hope to have these spaces up and running for the sake of those people who rely on them.
And so going forward, when do we expect this pool and the pool at Main Square to open as well?
That's a question for our city staff.
So for now, until further notice, they're closed.
Well, until the demands that were agreed upon by the workers and the staff are met, then you could expect that the facilities would be closed.
Just reread, those demands are presence of medics and fixing the deck.
Every pool will have its own set of demands and will be unique based on the climate and the situation in those specific buildings. So some of them are staffing issues. Some of them are something as simple as not having air conditioning in a cooling site where that is a requirement. When they're not working on the deck, they should be able to get cool air somewhere. So there isn't cool air flowing. Some of them, like I said, could be a Dectron. So there's a myriad of issues, and it's very specific to each work site.
Can you again just go over for people who aren't familiar, we keep using the term Dectron, just explain what it is.
Sure.
They may not understand what this particular device.
Yes, a Dectron is a machine that essentially ensures that the humid levels and the temperature on the deck is working, is in conditions that are workable. So it kind of helps facilitate those. I would imagine that if they haven't been updated or maintained, that you're going to start to see failures. Like I said, Birchmount has shut down for extensive periods of time for repairs. So these sort of more in-depth questions about why the repairs need to be done continuously will be for city staff.
This pool and the one over at Main, they're not reopening until you said some demands are met. Those demands are medics and to fix the Dectron, or is there a possibility one of those demands, like medics, is met, that it could reopen for people to use?
Again, it all depends on what the agreed upon terms were, and all of those terms have to be met
But like this
for the
specific
pools.
location, in terms of what the demands were, what would need to happen to have families being able to use it?
I believe the issue here is the Dectron, and it needs its repairs done adequately. Thank you.
All right, we're hearing from CUPE holding a news conference after staff at 2 indoor pools refused to work, citing extreme humidex levels. These are aquatic workers. The union highlighting some of its concerns, saying this is a staffing issue, adding that when temps feel like it's over 45, there needs to be a medic on site. Also stressing the need for a Dectron, a machine that ensures humidity levels and temperatures on the deck are functional. When asked why couldn't these workers just jump in the pool, the union says if you jump into the water and you inhale the same dense, hot air, it'll do nothing to alleviate your symptoms. It also says it's working with the city to ensure these concerns are met so people have access to city pools on a hot and humid day just like this one.
And another thing that came out of that is that representative said that a lot of the buildings that have had these issues, those have been in place for the past 2 to 3 years. So that part of the city is now working with them to make sure that everything is up to par. That's a good thing.